Um, baby boy, chillax. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Lux, Lux. I know you want to play. I know you want to play.
Pretty dog.
Thank you. I think he just wants to play with you. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, buddy. Don't go too far. Come on. Come on. Okay. Well, so today I want to talk about the mindset that I had, I guess, like last year and the years prior to this year, um, and the one that I have now, which is a lot more freeing and creative. Uh, but having gone through a lot when I was younger, it sort of put me in this mindset, this lack mentality, and this unworthy and just low vibrational mindset. So I even at one point when I was younger remember teaching myself not to want for anything because um, I just didn't want to either get disappointed from not having it, or I felt like it would, me wanting something and getting it would take something from someone else. Um, so I remember teaching myself, just rethinking the thought over and over again. Don't want for anything. Don't want for anything. And but I didn't realize how much of an effect that had on my self worth growing up, and um, just me settling for things like relationships and goals and opportunities. Uh, but last year, um, I started to want for more than what I was receiving and surrounding myself with in relationships and romantically and friendships and family relationships and just in my relationship with myself. Because I wasn't my like best encourager. You know, if anything, I was my most discourager, my most critical person towards me in my life, and um, it's like all of my motivation to do things was coming from uh, telling myself like negative things about myself, um, and sort of proving to myself and to others that um, I was deserving of better, but still not kind of like thinking that I was. So I would self sabotage a lot. Um, Not on purpose. I just learned about this. And, well, I just learned about it when I started changing that mindset last year. Uh, yeah. So I remember when I would have like an emotion, um, I would talk, I would have thoughts talking bad about myself, making that heightening that emotion. If it was sadness, mostly it was sadness. I didn't even really have a relationship with anger or anything. But then, because I had that thought process going on, now my actions would be based off of those. My decisions would be based off of those. Let's say, like, I'm trying to think of an example. So in relationships and stuff, um, if I asked for quality time, I would express that with the thought behind that I'm not deserving of it, and um, then reality would show me, it would affirm that with the partner that I chose at that time to be with. Um, it would be reflected back to me because they either wouldn't want to spend quality time with me, or um, I would just, even when we did spend time together, I still wasn't even happy with it, or I don't know. I can't exactly remember, but something just wouldn't ever like feel right. And um, then I started teaching myself to like have more of a gratitude um, mindset, and started just thanking God for waking me up this day, and thanking God for like the cat that I had, and thanking God for the weather, and that this day has the potential to be like the best day I've ever had. And it was like all this weight and baggage that I used to wake up with, and this mood um, that I used to wake up with, it just started changing. And I started, when I would have emotions, I would notice that the voice of criticism would be lessened, and um, I would have a gentler voice to talk to myself in, like, oh, it's okay, I'm here for you, what's going on, stuff like that, versus you're not worthy, and you're undeserving, and no one wants to be with you. Oh, there's horses. There's horses over there. That's so cool. Um, there are people like riding some horses across this river. But hold on, I don't know if you see all that. Oh yeah, you can. You can just barely see it. But yeah. Um, so I've also got Luxury here, my little doggy. This is my friend's dog that I am. Hi, Lux. Luxy Poo. That I'm looking after. He's my bonus pet because I have a little kitty cat. Um, but where was I about the mood and all that? So I started having a more positive mindset, and it started creating a lot of more positive moments in my life, more positive emotions, and that started changing the decisions and the actions that I took. They were less self-sabotaging and more just trusting and receiving and flowing actions. So then I started having like less of the relationships that I was used to, and more positive ones that actually where I felt seen and appreciated and wanted. And well, that also meant that I lost relationships that I was used to. So the partner I was with at the time, like, we ended, and I even lost like my relationship with like my parents, in a sense, uh, and some friends. I just distanced myself from them. Uh, this wasn't even all intentional or anything, and a lot, it was pretty hurtful too, because I wasn't expecting it. I just thought that, you know, if I worked on loving myself, that like everything would just like magically love me too or whatever, which it did, but in the sense that I wasn't expecting. Like, I started attracting more relationships that were loving, but that meant I had to make room for that. I had to let go of relationships that weren't so loving and weren't pouring into me in a positive way. Um, and uh, but with that whole dismantling of the life that I knew, um, it also was just really healing. I started like walking into rooms and just feeling like I deserve to be there, and just feeling the space that I took up, and the room that I still had for others. And I wasn't intimidated, and even if I was scared of something, it was kind of exciting to face it, um, because I had this like foundational truth uh, that was pure and good, and that no moment could really like separate me from, unless I allowed it. Uh, and it was just a complete change around from feeling like everything was happening to me to now like I have so much control of my perspective, my emotions. Um, but one of the things that was challenging was going through the process to get from that old mindset to this new one that I was creating. Um, and a lot of that came with me separating myself from the old environments and trying to experience something new in a calmer, safer environment. So I would do that by grounding in nature. If I had an emotion, um, no matter how big or how small, I would go to my backyard and I would just sit there like how I am now, just like cross leg and on some grass, and I would just breathe through the emotion. And I, at the time, was following this girl. I think her name is Anastasia or something, but she would post videos on Facebook. Or at least I saw them on Facebook. I don't know if they were like posted anywhere else, but um, she was giving like readings from spirits, and uh, she had this course that she made about calling in your soulmate, and um, like these spells that you could use to manifest this life that you wanted, or these outcomes that you wanted. And I had purchased it and was journaling every day. I think she had a 99-day course or something, or a 90-day course, but basically you just copy her prompt and you would speak it. I would speak it out loud and write it, and every day I would do that, sometimes twice a day. But in that PDF, she has this prayer, that this intention that you set before you go into this journaling or the spell work, where you would basically sit there and breathe and say, um, I am love, I am light. And she just had this like whole spiel. Um, and it really did a lot to calm my nervous system, which was so wound up and activated at the time. And um, so I remember just like going into the backyard, and if I had an emotion like big or small, and I would just like breathe and say that prayer that I remember her, or I remember was in her PDF, and I would start envisioning, because I would close my eyes and I would just start envisioning, um, like the chakras in me lighting up, and she tells you to imagine like the energy from the ground coming up into you and through you, going up to the heavens, and then vice versa, the light coming down from the heavens to through you and into the ground. And so I would sit there and I would breathe and I would focus on my feet and the ground beneath me. And sometimes I would imagine roots coming down from my body, like into the ground. And I would just focus on that and focus on my breath and picture whatever chakra I was focusing on and do that, taking time to go through the prayer at every chakra. So I would say the whole prayer, like just with focusing on my feet, and then I would move up and focus on my root chakra, and then uh, what is it, the sacral, and um, the heart chakra, and the throat chakra, and the crown chakra, and flowing all of that energy up to God. And um, this would take me about like half an hour because I would say it at each chakra point, and then you know, say it coming back down. And um, I would like sit there and I would like touch the grass, and I would like move my arms along the grass and the flowers in my backyard. And as this was all going on, I would take in my senses. Like I could hear nature um, from like a while away. I could hear like birds chirping, and whether or not my cat was outside or if my roommate had left or arrived, and just like all these wild noises and or wildlife noises. And um, it was just an experience. And at the end of it, I remember if I started off with an emotion that was negative and intense, by the end of it I would just feel like bliss and peace, and all of my chakras activated in like this tingling sensation. And I would just feel so light afterwards. And the more I did that, the more I could have like a calmer state throughout the day. And I would reference that prayer, like if I saw an argument, or if I saw like my cats, we had 3 cats at the time, and if I saw them like roughhousing with each other, I would just repeat that prayer, and it would take me to this zone of peace and calm. And if I was at work, and where a lot of my stress was coming from, I would recite that in my head while someone who might have not had like the best intentions for me was trying to interact with me, uh, and I would just focus on that, and it would still keep me calm and still keep me peaceful while they were saying whatever they felt the need to say. And it would disengage me from a lot that used to activate my nervous system. And I started like needing rest more and more time in nature, and I started allowing myself to do that instead of prioritizing uh, other responsibilities like work and um, hangouts and relationships that I just didn't feel were pouring into me the way that nature was, uh, or that were like activating my nervous system in a negative way. And yeah, it just, that did a lot for my healing. And I don't know, it's like the more that I was doing that, the more I would get this guidance from, it's like my senses were heightened, and I started receiving these spiritual gifts because I would feel so connected. And I started talking to like my ancestors, and I started talking more to God. And I would see like these little I told my mom about it, and she was saying that those were spirits, but at the time I would see this like a blur, almost like a spot of blur in my peripheral. And it's like no matter where I tried to look in the direction that I saw it at, if I tried to look that way, it would still be like just beyond my sight. And uh, I would also just like, if someone was coming toward me to have a conversation, I started hearing whether or not it was like the person was going to come to me with a universal truth, like something that was good and that God agrees with, like who He says I am, and or I would hear that it would be a lie, which is something that is like going to be a negative thing and that God doesn't agree with. So I shouldn't give so much weight to it. And that I think was like growing my discernment. And I started using that, listening to my intuition more when it comes to like people's situations. And I started like growing boundaries around the things that didn't have a sense of God's love for me and understanding for me, you know? And, um, but I had to be willing to listen. That was the toughest part, is like walking away or not choosing the things that I was so used to, um, and leaving space for a different type of reality that accepts me more and pours love into me and connects me with God more and encourages me. Um, but what a life it is to live. I love it here. And it opened me up to all these happy experiences that, if I held on to the old reality that I was used to, I would have never experienced. And I'm amazed at how much happened in 1 year, because I was open and receptive to it. Um, but yeah, hope that helps, guys. And uh, I pray that you stay open and receptive to the love that God has for you to experience.